Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In this week's video, we're going to be talking about the Holosun 407K and 507K. I'm going to be sharing with you guys just some of my thoughts and my experiences with both of them, but something to note here is that this is not a pressure test. I'm not trying to break these optics or work them really hard. If you want to see a video about their durability and things like that, go watch a Sage Dynamics video on these optics. You'll get a much better feel for them in that light over on his channel, but today I'm just talking about my overall experience with these optics and how I've liked them. The reason that we're talking specifically about these Holosun optics is because we know that Holosun is a fairly reliable brand, and these are some of their smaller optics that are more conducive with smaller, more compact guns and therefore concealed carry. And I also wanted to touch on these optics because they're fairly affordable options. The 407K is about $100 less than the 507K, so I kind of want to talk to you guys about their differences and my experiences with them. But just to start, I really don't think that you could go wrong with either. So at the end of 2020, I picked up a Glock 48 MOS and a Holosun 507K, and I put that setup through about 2 classes and overall around 4,000 rounds in about 10 months. But I spent the majority of that time just using the dot feature on the 507K. I haven't adventured a whole lot into the other settings on the 507K. The 407K was sent to me by Big Tech's Ordnance a couple of months ago. I've since put it through 3 different shooting classes, and I've only put about 1,500 rounds through the 407K. Big Tech's is actually the sponsor in today's video. Big Tech's is known for their awesome online selection and outstanding customer service. You can find almost anything you need through their site, and they've recently opened up a range in Conroe, Texas. So if you're ever in their neck of the woods, tell them I said hi. I recently took both dots to the range to kind of get some filming done for you guys so you could see the difference between the 2 dot sizes on the 407 and the 507K. So the 407K is a 6 MOA dot, which essentially just means that it's a larger dot. And the 507K is a 2 MOA dot, so the dot itself is smaller. But the 507K has a few more features than the 407K, hence the price difference. So the 507K lets you choose between 3 different settings. First is just a plain and simple 2 MOA dot. The second one is a circle. And the third one is a circle with a dot. To be entirely honest with you, I haven't spent a whole lot of time with either of the circle settings. I spent the majority of my time just using the 2 MOA dot. And so when I transitioned from the 507K to the 407K, it was a really notable difference in how much feedback I was receiving using a much larger dot. So going from a 2 MOA to a 6 MOA was a pretty notable difference, but it didn't make shooting any more difficult or necessarily any easier. It was just different feedback. Where I really noticed a difference was when I went from the 407K and using that consistently to starting to use the 507K a little bit more. Going from that, even just in the first couple of shots, I noticed that I was getting a lot more feedback from the 507K. So essentially, I'm holding my gun out, and the 507K dot is a lot more wiggly, if that makes sense, because it's notably smaller, and so it's giving me those tiny little bits of feedback that the larger dot can't really give me. And to be honest with you, I couldn't tell you if I really preferred it one way or the other. I understand that having more feedback is a good thing, but at the same time, especially kind of as a newer shooter, I don't necessarily want all of that feedback because I have enough that I'm already processing, especially as I'm trying to increase the speed and within shorter distances, say within 10 yards or so. I don't necessarily want all the feedback that the 507K is giving me. I actually enjoy having the larger dot and not having to fixate on those tiny movements. But again, I understand that having that extra feedback is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. I've been shooting dots for maybe a year and a half now, and the majority of that time has been spent on either the 407K and the 507K. And again, the 507K was majorly spent on the dot setting. And the difference between the two, obviously the dot on the 407K is notably bigger, but as an overall experience, I don't notice a huge difference. The place where you notice a big difference between the two is the price. And there's a really good reason for that. The 507K has more features. You have the ability to change between the settings and kind of get a feel for what you want out of your dot and which setting you want to use. Whereas with the 407K, you do get the larger dot, but you don't necessarily have those other options to sift through. So it's kind of a decision on whether or not you want all of the versatility and the features that come with the 507K. If you want to step into the world of dots, I think the 407K is a really, really great option, especially as an affordability thing. Usually if we're stepping into the world of dots for the first time, we're probably buying a gun that is either an MOS, or we're buying a gun to have milled, or we're milling a gun that we already have. And therefore we're making some kind of investment somewhere in addition to the dot. So if you're looking for something that is even less cost prohibited, the 407K is a really affordable option, but the 507K is going to give you more options to try out. As far as which one I personally prefer, I honestly couldn't tell you that I lean one way or the other heavily. I enjoy shooting them both the same, especially since I've been shooting the 507K on the dot setting. I don't have a ton of experience with the other two settings, so personally for me, I don't notice a major difference between the 407 and the 507K. Thanks for watching today's video, and if you guys are looking for a place to shop for your concealed carry needs, things like dots and accessories, pretty much anything that you could think of that pertains to concealed carry and living with a gun, I would highly encourage you to go check out Big Tech's Ordnance. They've also offered you guys a 10% discount if you follow the link down in my description and you type in Armed and Styled when you check out. Not everything is going to be 10% off through that code, but a lot of the items available to you guys are going to be 10% off through Armed and Styled. Thanks again for watching today's video. I hope it was helpful for you guys, and I'll see you guys in my next one.